Need a push getting your spirits, wine, or beverage brand into the hands of consumers? Interested in winning medals like a double gold award? Proof Awards, the ultimate beverage competition, can help jumpstart your brand into the hands of beverage buyers. Enter the Proof Awards. Be a part of the Proof Awards marketing campaign with our partner, Food and Beverage Magazine. All of our judges are buyers, and that's what sets our awards program apart from the others. Our judges head the beverage programs for restaurants, bars, nightclubs, casinos, liquor stores, big box retail, and national wine and spirits distributors. Your brand will be tasted by buyers from more than 15 states across the U.S. We have hundreds of categories to choose from at www.proofawards.com. Be seen by 12 million readers with our partner, Food and Beverage Magazine. Get tasted and rated by buyers. The Proof Awards competition is open for spirits, wine, and beverage brands today. Proof Awards, moving brands into the marketplace. www.proofawards.com.
Welcome to Proof Live, where booze brands in the right hands. On a quest for the best tipple and toast with the most exciting and respected bottlings. Competing for the 100-point Perfect Score Century Award and the double gold and a spot on the top shelf to be sipped, shaken, stirred, and celebrated. Slide up to the bar with the biggest names in the spirits game as they clink glasses with your hostess, legendary connoisseur Jennifer English, for intimate conversations, live tastings, product launches, and the happiest hour there is. Now, broadcasting live from the commodious confines of the swanky Proof Saloon, where the liquid elite meet. Here is your hostess, the Madam of Manhattans, the Duchess of Daiquiris, the Queen of Conviviality, your hostess, James Beard Award winner, Jennifer English.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome. I am so excited that you're joining me today because can you feel it? There's a crackle in the air. We're getting closer and closer to the Proof Awards season 2022. Now, I know you don't need any motivation, but I'm going to remind you that what's at stake are the gold and the double gold and the Century Awards. Our judges will taste your spirits and your beverages, and they are the buyers who will bring your brands to the world. This is the most unique awards there are in spirits because our judges are all buyers. Well, what does that mean? Who are these buyers? Why do we even have to worry about? Well, the reality is, as people, you, me, all of us, we go out in the world, we go to our favorite places. Some places we're even a regular, and we go there because we like the vibe of the place and what they offer us. They've spent a lot of time and hard work preparing food and drink for us that is meant to please us and satisfy us. They prepare things that are irresistible. They curate things to offer us that are truly irresistible. They do a lot of the hard work and separate things they think we don't need to try because they're not quite as good as the things they offer us. Being an expert in the world of wine, they give the title négociant. That means these experts travel to the great vineyards and chateaux around the world and taste wines and say, this is good enough for me to put my name on. This is good enough for me to offer in my bottle shop. This is good enough for me to put on my menu. And this is good enough for me to offer my most special guests. With that in mind, that notion of hospitality, curating, searching for and finding the best in the world, sometimes it helps to have a little prize that says we really are the best in the world. But oftentimes taking a sip is all it takes because things speak for themselves in the glass and in the bottle. It's good, however, to have trusted friends in the business who tell us what's going on, who've been out in the world, tasting everything for us, and then curating the best that there is under one umbrella and offer to us. That's where we're going today. There's an entirely exciting category, not altogether new, in the hospitality industry and in the spirits business. So when we talk about beer, wine, ready-to-drink beverages, and cocktails, we're talking about things that have historically and traditionally been part of what was maybe the mainstream. But there is a growing movement around the world. People are demanding a little bit less alcohol or alcohol-free or non-alcohol. That lower ABV, that reduction of the impactful forces that for some people just don't make you feel as good the next day, or you just can't drink. I'm pregnant, or you choose not to, or you're taking medicine, or it's a cultural thing, whatever it is. Even if none of those factors are in play, people around the world, young people especially, are choosing to drink a little bit less. If you have one beer and you start the night, maybe your second beer is the same delicious flavor as and it's only non-alcoholic. So there's a lot of ways that this is happening in our industry. To talk about this really burgeoning, developing category of alcohol-free in advance of a very special thing that we're doing at Proof Magazine, which is we're going to have in our next issue an alcohol-free magazine within the magazine. Proof AF is going to be making its debut in our next issue. And it's to do with our new Proof AF category in the Proof Awards. We're going to dedicate an entire competition to all the great alcohol-free and non-alcohol beverages, irresistible adult beverages that just don't happen to have any alcohol. To talk to us about how legitimate a big category this is, how much of the future this represents, and who's already in the game, these early adopters and our early friends in the business, we're turning to Better Rhodes and their co-founder, my friend Dan Stiller, who joins us from the Better Rhodes headquarters, where he is literally in the vanguard of the alcohol-free and non-alcohol space and industry with some of the most delicious, surprisingly delicious. Yes, I'm going to say this. I'm going to get a little controversial. You know, I never really liked No Deal, but I love Athletic Brewing Company. And for that, I have to thank the inspiration for all of this, my friend, Dan Stiller. How are you, sir?
Great. Jennifer, it's always such a pleasure to spend some time with you. And wow, I'm honored to be in the Proof Live Saloon. This is fantastic. And I think Jennifer, it really gives to have me on here and to have you just spend some time with me and with this category really legitimizes what's happening and really gives this the non-alcoholic space some credibility. Because like you said, it's delicious products and people really reaching outside of the box and creating entire new categories, entire new taste profiles that are just a lot of fun to try and a lot of fun to be engaged with. So thank you very much. I'm really excited to be here today.
Awesome. Hey, let's first start talking about Better Rhodes. What is Better
Sure.
Rhodes?
So Better Roads really started off as a marketplace just to bring the great product that was actually out there and around the world to customers in North America who were looking for that product. And so we created this online marketplace and we started importing products from around the world and just promoting that to our customer base. And we made it really easy for them to buy and to shop the product and to learn about the product. So what we are really trying to do is to educate customers on what was happening in this space, to provide them access to products, and then just make it really easy for them to purchase. So, for example, with our mixed 6-pack for beer, you can order from us. We have monthly subscriptions as well, where you could try 6 beers and find out what you liked, and then come back to us and order that on a regular basis. And we did that with our wine clubs, with our wine selections, and just gave people a really easy way to shop, to learn about the products. And then when they found something they liked, we'll deliver it right to your door. And that has actually evolved even further, where now we see ourselves as an entire platform where we are instrumental in launching a lot of new products that we bring into the market and launch into the North American market, which is the fastest growing market in the world right now.
We should tell people that are listening to us and saying alcohol free. What's the whole point of a cocktail without alcohol? We'll get to that in a minute. And our friends in Europe, in London especially, are about 5 years ahead of us. They've been aware of this for a while, but this is not a completely new thing. I've actually been a student and participant in the space for about 10 years. And there are upwards of like 300 companies that are really devoted to making irresistible adult beverages that just don't happen to have any alcohol, which begs the question, where were these people before and what made them turn that switch? What's going on in the world that says we want to drink less?
Yeah, I think that's such an interesting question. Like you said, the Belgian monks have been creating alcohol or non-alcoholic beers for centuries. This concept actually isn't new. But what's new is this shift in the narrative. And what that narrative shift is really has very little to do with alcohol, but rather what we've seen in health and wellness. So we first saw that health and wellness movement challenge smoking, challenge what it meant to eat in the emergence of plant-based diets, challenged what it meant to what milk was. And this health and wellness challenge is now kind of turned its attention to alcohol. And again, driven by young people, predominantly women, saying, what does it mean to celebrate? And you use a term in the beginning, and it's not just a throwaway term, but this concept of conviviality.
Yeah.
And that is so critical. And it is like, what does it mean to commune? What does it mean to celebrate? And does that always have to have alcohol attached to it? Because we all know, and I enjoy alcohol, 80% of our customers also enjoy alcohol, but we also recognize that it does have negative side effects. So how can we find all that great elements of celebration, of communion, but do it without some of those negative side effects? And that challenging narrative has encouraged more producers to invest in this space. And we continue to see better technology and better products. And I can say, since we've started Better Rhodes, there are products now that we were best in class, say 12 months ago, that now are middle of the road products compared to what we get on a daily basis being sent to us and put up on our platform.
What's so interesting about that idea is that it speaks to this idea of balance. We're seeking better and balance in our lives. And if the only options that were historically available and non-alcoholic were substandard to the connoisseur's choices that many of us had become aware of, there was a real disparity. Here's the alcohol and the quality, and then here's the non-alcohol and the quality. And what I'm seeing happening right now around the world is that gap is shrinking as the quality of the non-alcohol is rising to meet the level of what we've always used and enjoyed. You can't give me a choice between something that's this good and something that's this good and say it's a real choice. What kind of choice is that? Well, it really isn't. You've gone around the world and found things that said, we may not be there quite the same way, but we're so close that we're now in this actual realm, this space of choice. This now is a real choice. We think you're going to enjoy this so much that you won't miss what's not there, which leads to the next point, which is all of these brands, all of them, whatever they are, I think they need to be talking about what they are, not what they're not. Because at the end of the day, when we talk about celebrating the rituals and traditions of conviviality and hospitality, it always involves some kind of food. It always involves some kind of drink. And it always involves being together because that's where the joy comes from. And so, given those things, we're looking at a whole new industry that is rising in its quality. Would you talk a little bit about the kinds of things that you offer at Better Rhodes and how you all got started? What did you see in the world? What was the thing that gave you the green light to start this business? Because you were literally one of the pioneers in this, and you are really in the vanguard.
Well, thank you. And I guess like a lot of kind of entrepreneurial stories, it started with a challenge, with a problem. And it was a problem that our founder, Chris Becker, faced. He was on vacation with his family. He was looking to make healthier choices around alcohol. And so he went to a retail store, tried to find some beer. There was O'Doul's in kind of traditional bottom right corner, covered in dust. And like, well, that's not very appealing. So he went online. And then, after doing quite a bit of searching, he found a number of beers that were available, but you had to do the work. And then you had to learn about them. And then you had to order them. And you had to order a minimum of 24 and have them shipped to your house. So all of a sudden, you were 240 beers in, you spent probably $500 on shipping. And then you're going to find out that, there's a lot of them I don't actually like. So that was the problem. And we solved it by creating this marketplace. And when we started with beer and we were thinking, okay, well, let's sell beer to guys like us trying to find healthier alternatives, um, looking for something just to enjoy on a regular basis. And we constantly said this in the beginning, let's find stuff that just doesn't suck. Because at the time, that was it was like it was a punishment, right? It was,
it's where we were.
Yeah, absolutely. And we talk about this a lot, that if you were choosing non-alcoholic, you were kind of put in the penalty box. It was like, okay, well, that's on you, and this is what you get. And like you said, it's not when it's poor quality, it's not a choice, it's a punishment. And so we moved away. There was great product out there. We got it out in front of people. And the more we explored, the more, and we looked around the world. We went into the UK, especially was really really exciting and from a production perspective. We found great spirits, great ready to drink products, and the wine market was really starting to evolve. And what's great about what unique about the North American market is we've been much more comfortable adopting non-alcoholic wines as opposed to the rest of Europe, where they have very strong traditions around wine, much less so than the US market. And we're willing to try new things. And we've seen wine really take off in the North American market as opposed to what we've seen in Europe. But we were just constantly bringing new products. And then we found this audience. And as I mentioned, we thought we were going to be selling beer to guys like us, and it's not. We're selling wine to millennial women who are looking to change the narrative around what it means to celebrate, what it means to have a drink after work, what it means to relax. And it's a really fun space to be in.
One of the things that's exciting for us to be on this journey with you all and the entire industry is that we're in the discovery phase. There are vendors and brands, brewers, distillers, and winemakers all over the world doing such an extraordinary job. You've gone and found them, many of whom we're hoping are going to be medal winners for the Proof AF in 2022. For that, we have to have a little bit of an education. And if you don't mind,
Sure.
can you educate all of us, myself included? Because I think I know, but it's been pointed out to me that there's some really clear definitional differences between saying alcohol-free and non-alcoholic. So for the language, for the conversation that we're about to have, culturally, broadly, what's the difference between alcohol-free and non-alcoholic?
And thank you for asking that, because there is a lot of confusion. There's actually a lot of confusion within the industry itself. But the easiest way to look at it is all alcohol-free products are non-alcoholic, but not all non-alcoholic products are alcohol-free. Non-alcoholic is less than 0.5. It means that somewhere in the process, alcohol was involved in that process. For example, you create a wine, you de-alcoholize the wine. Regardless of how much you de-alcoholize it, you can never get to zero. So that is a non-alcoholic product. Alcohol was involved in the process of making it. An alcohol-free product, the easiest way to think of it is alcohol was never involved with the process. So it really is a 0-0. And this is especially important when we're talking to the sober community, because the sober community, it's not a majority of our customer base, but it is still a really important part of our customer base. And for them, alcohol-free, for a lot of people, alcohol-free is very important to them, that it must be 0-0. It has no level of alcohol in it. So those terms often get interchanged, but they really shouldn't. Alcohol-free, you can always feel comfortable using non-alcoholic, but if you specify something as alcohol-free, it should mean that it has never touched alcohol. Alcohol is never involved in the process.
That is a super important distinction to make. And to your point about who's trying to be mindful of this, the hospitality industry is really renowned for the people who work in the industry having access, working hard, getting together after a restaurant shift, at midnight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., and just hanging out at the restaurant and decompressing. And
Mhm.
there's a lot of stress and there's a lot of factors. And there was a lot of overindulging in the industry historically. There is a movement within the hospitality industry to be more healthful and wellness oriented and try and support both the mental health and the physical health of our friends and colleagues in the business. This is so important for everybody, but for our industry in particular, who has always had to just maybe work a little bit harder even than and for me, this is a super important gift that the culture is going to give to our industry, is give them the chance to still have the rituals and traditions of celebration and decompressing at the end of the night, the ritual and tradition of happy hour, just without the alcohol.
Yeah. And I think that's such an important element of it, right? It is the rituals. It is that celebration. It's the making of the cocktail. And then is it like the greatest glass of wine? Is it that 14%, that little 14% of the alcohol that makes it a great glass of wine? No, it's so much more than that. And I guarantee you the majority of that is the people that you're surrounded with. And when we talk to our customers, when we ask them, why have you made this choice? They, the majority of them talk about this sense of mindfulness. And it's about being present for themselves, being present for their family, being present for their fears, and enjoying the moment, enjoying that space, that time. And when we think about this, that the non-alcoholic space, and we often look at the, like you said, there's this negative narrative around it, like we're taking this out. What we're actually doing is enhancing what is there, enhancing that experience of not the beverage, but the community. Again, we don't take away from the beverage experience, but we really enhance your mindfulness around all the things that matter, your friends, your family, yourself. So that's to me what I feel we're adding to that environment. And like you said, that plays a really important role, especially in that, that 2 a.m. post work um, relaxation. And I totally understand the industry, right? You're surrounded by great products, great wine. You're surrounded by the romance of it. You do want to let off steam, and it can be for many people a really slippery slope. So I think this is a great opportunity to decompose. It's not decompose to decompress in this great environment and make an amazing cocktail, yet still be focused on the people and the passion of your industry, but without those negative side effects. I think
And I
it's
want to
a
turn,
good opportunity.
I want to tell you that one of the most surprising things is when we got started talking, I thought, oh, well, they're going to be tequilas and rums and gins and whiskeys that have had the alcohol removed. And I thought, boy, those are going to be booming in sales. And what's been really surprising is just how popular beer and wine are in terms of what's not only selling well, but booming. Because there is really a boom taking place. One of the companies in the beer category, Athletic Brewing Company, is the 26th largest brewer in the United States, which 26 doesn't sound like a lot, but when you think about the fact that we've had a craft beer boom for the last 20 years, it's pretty
Yeah,
significant.
absolutely. And I think one of the reasons for that is just this idea of accessibility, right? A beer or a glass of wine is it's a ready to drink product. I open it, I pour it, I can experience it. It's a great way to kind of close that, for myself, coming home from work, and sometimes now it's just turning off the computer and walking to the kitchen. It's nice to have that glass of wine for me to, in a sense, end the day. Before when I started my career, um, I wore the three-piece blue suit. I was working in the automotive industry, and I always cherished coming home and taking off my uniform. That was such an easy break to the day. Now people don't wear suits anymore. So, and I think what's happened is that that day ends up getting, your work day ends up getting blended too much into your home life, and you start to lose that balance. And to me, um, sometimes that was a cocktail, and now I've got better alternatives, and I'll still enjoy that glass of wine at the end of the day. It gives me that separation, that opportunity to decompress, to talk with my wife, and to start that next phase of our life, which is our life together and a home life, and kind of create that balance. And you can do that. You can still have that same experience with a great tasting product, without any of those negative side effects. Because it was pretty easy to have that glass of wine and then have a glass of wine while I was cooking and then have a glass of wine while I was eating. And all of a sudden I was 4 glasses of wine into the night, and I'm not a kid anymore. And that doesn't do me any favors. So
So, as our friend in the business, as the co-founder of Better Rhodes, and betterrhodes.com is the marketplace, the online marketplace where you have curated together. I'm
mhm,
wondering if Tony, our engineer, can show us one of the pages on the Better Rhodes site that shows just what it looks like. But you have assortments that you have curated together. You have discovery packages where you can try different things. You have monthly subscriptions to get the things that you like. Because again, we're still in an early stage where these wonderful products may not have distribution where you live.
yeah.
So you really made it possible for us to get these things. And what's really important to remember is that for all of us, this is a discovery. We're all discovering what tastes best to us. As our friend in the business, where's a good place for somebody to start? And for the host or hostess that's getting ready for the holiday season, what should they be getting ready to try to offer for their guests when that time comes?
Yeah, I think that's and that was a big part of our intention, was to just make it easy. So we have our better boxes, our Imbibe Better Box, and an elevated experience with that as well. And that allows you to try a bunch of different products in the space and just see what works for you. We also have our collection of reds, collection of wines, collection of sparklings, our better wine variety packs, which you see up on the screen now. And again, we've curated to really bring to you what's best in class. We're really excited about the Wander and Chown brand. Has an amazing white Cuvée Blanc, an amazing rosé. And when we think about the holiday season and what it means to host, um, it means to make everyone at that table welcome. And it's really difficult to be serving, a beautiful red wine on one end of the table, and then serving sparkling water or a Diet Coke on the other. How do we enhance everybody's experience? And as a host, make sure everyone feels welcome. And we really encourage you to find out what it is that you want to serve, and go through our site and take a look at what you can complement that with. What's a great Pinot Noir that you want to be serving? I'd highly recommend the Wander and Found. If you're looking for a more robust red, the Naughty Rouge is a great example. I'm a big fan of the Cuvée Blanc. And then sparklings are all, I don't think there should ever be a party without a great sparkling. And we've got an excellent selection of that as well.
Bubbles
And
Beat
then
Celebrate.
absolutely, absolutely. There's nothing quite as rock and roll as the popping of a champagne cork. And we have a great collection of sparklings to do that. Um, and so I highly encourage you to make that part of your hosting mindset. How do I make sure everyone at my table feels welcome? And we know, based on the research, that 20% of the people around the table will be choosing not to drink. Maybe it's because they're sober, maybe it's just that night. And if you actually when you ask them how many would prefer not to drink if they had great non-alcoholic options, that's 25 to 30%.
Wow.
There's a recent survey done in the UK, and 1/3 of all restaurant and bar visits now are people searching for non-alcoholic options. 1/3 in the
Wow.
UK. So we know that's going to be part of the narrative in North America as well. But as a host, what great options do you have? We have also great ready to drink pop and pour gin and tonics and mojitos and Aperol spritz. Sir James 101 is a great example of just making it easy for you to create great beverages, glass, a little garnish, pop and pour, and you've created this great celebration for that person to make sure that they feel valued. And then it's also the ready to drink products are also easy to bring along. And if you're
Right.
a guest, bring along a product that you feel comfortable drinking, and your host will feel comfortable serving.
It's about a sip of the irresistible. And I love that idea because then it's a real choice.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a couple things that you know resonated with as you're speaking in the beginning, and it's that concept of choice, right? Let's give people a real choice. Let's give them great options. And let's and feel comfortable challenging this narrative around what does it mean to celebrate. And and challenge people. Highly encourage you to grab one of our gins, like our New London Light, or and create a great cocktail and say, hey, give it a go. What do you like? Which one do you prefer? Um, and then maybe challenge them afterwards. Okay, which one's non-alcoholic? Um,
Right.
and I think what we've found is, again, speaking to that group of people who, if they were given a great alternative, they would definitely prefer to drink non-alcoholic products. And maybe not all night, but maybe their second or third drink. Definitely, if they're driving, it'd be great to have non-alcoholic options that still allow them to celebrate, still allow them to feel that they're not giving anything up, and that they're a valued um, member of that event. And that's what it really is about. It's valuing the people around the table, extending that table, making sure everyone is welcome. That's really a big part of what we're trying to do.
And literally on our shows, on my shows, almost every day, inspired by Oscar Tucci at the world famous Delmonico's and my friend Max Tucci, his grandson. We say all the time, all are welcome at my table. And as your host or hostess, I'm going to do everything I can to delight you and take good care of you when you're in my house and you're here at our table.
Mhm.
One of the things that you said that was really powerful about making sure that everyone feels welcome makes me want to explain it this way. If you took a sip of whiskey and you're not used to drinking whiskey, it's going to feel hot and sharp, and it may make you have that reaction to all the things about it. But if you make that one note of whiskey in a blended cocktail so that it is a chord of flavor and spirit, a great cocktail, when it's really expertly prepared, will be so imbalanced that you almost can't distinguish which whiskey that was or what's in it. It's just the chord of the cocktail,
Mm.
right? It might have the personality and the DNA and the brand style and the house style of one whiskey versus another. Why do you order a Crown Royal Manhattan versus a Maker's Mark Manhattan? You, they just have different characteristics and spiciness and sweetness, etc. But the bottom line is you've become aware of that through tasting and discovery. But if in the world of non-alcoholic, you've gone to the care and trouble of creating a balanced chord of flavor and you present it to me at your party in a glass that says, I have the intention of you really enjoying this. I almost want to leave the words non-alcoholic out of the equation and just say, tell me if you like it.
I,
And with that
mm,
first few sips, you're like, wow, this is good. Because the intention was to make something for you with fresh squeezed juices and the blend of the tinctures and spices that might go into a bitters to make it feel mellowed out and lifted up. I want you to imagine that all the things that are going to happen with hosts and hostesses and mixologists and chefs and friends, they're going to put something in the glass in front of you that they believe is going to be really irresistible. And taking the ingredients, the raw materials that Better Rhodes gives us all, whether it's a wine, a beer, or a spirit, and making something with it to delight your guests, well, this is the dawn of that era. And if you're not excited about the possibilities, which are truly endless, hang tight. We've got more shows coming up that are going to do just that. Dan Stiller, co-founder of Better Rhodes. Before we let you go, can you drop a hint or two, a little alpha, as they say in the blockchain world? Can you give us a little alpha about how to go and have the best experience on Better Roads?
yeah, absolutely. So what I really encourage you to do is to go onto our site, find some of our better packs, our better variety packs. So if you want to experience wine, I definitely encourage you to check out our better wine variety. Get exposed to our number one selling products, find out what's happening in the space, and find out what you like. And I will tell you that this isn't one for one. Creating not alcohol is a flavor carrier, so creating great non-alcoholic beverages is really hard. And in creating cocktails, you have to. It's a different backbone. You're going to have to experiment. You're going to have to get creative, but that's what great cocktail making is about. It's about being creative, about being engaged, and we highly encourage you to do that. So get engaged with the site, learn about the products. We've got some really in-depth blogs as well. And yeah, just spend some time, really take advantage of our variety packs, learn as much as you can. And yeah, think about what does that mean to be a host over the holiday season? And how do we make sure that everyone feels welcome around our table?
Dan Stiller, co-founder of Better Rhodes. Do you have a house toast at Better Rhodes to share with your guests?
You know what? We do. And it's very, very simple. But it's just to better roads ahead. And if you, Jennifer, if you gave me just a second to tell the story of Rhodes and why we use Rhodes, Rhodes, it's really meaningful. And Rhodes is an old English term for clearing in the woods. And we've always figured that that's the role that we play. People are going to take a many paths to get to this clearing in the woods, and people are going to stay for a different amount of time. But while you're here, while you're in this clearing in the woods, we are going to celebrate you. We're going to educate you. We're going to engage with you. We're going to give you a great number of options. And that's what it's really about. It's about celebrating your choice while you're in this clearing of the woods. And then we hope to see you again. And that's our toast as well, is just to better roads ahead, to that clearing in the woods. And again, to that really is about just welcoming as many people and celebrating them and their choices.
Cheers. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks, Jennifer. Thank you so much. Bye, everybody.
How did you meet these fantastic men? Ian, Paul, it's so lovely to have you here with us. Welcome. And I raise my glass to welcome you.
We have the vice president of marketing from Zing Zang, the company who makes the best, not only mixers, but now ready to drink cocktails. Extraordinary friend Diane Mina joins us from her home in Las Vegas, where she has.
Whether you are thinking about becoming a restaurateur or you are already in the business, Michael Politz has written a must-read, The Food and Beverage Magazine's Guide to Restaurant Success. Pick up your copy today at Barnes & Noble, Amazon, Books A Million, or wherever fine books are sold.